Imagine a world where ice and winter have taken over. Imagine making decisions that will either doom or save the last of humanity. This is more than just a game, it's survival. What I'm referring to is Frostpunk, a city builder survival management game, and the sequel has been announced and is coming out soon, and I'm pretty hyped, and I'm here to talk about why you should be too. So I've always had a sort of deep interest in city builder games. From as a kid, I remember playing Stronghold Crusader on my dad's old laptop, to playing Tropico 4, loving the series, and then maybe more recently I've been playing Banished. Not that that's super recent. I've always found the genre to be very interesting and exciting, and I loved making decisions that hurt now but pay off later. I love designing the city, just everything that goes into the genre. I remember buying Frostpunk, I want to say around 2019-ish. I was only in high school, and I remember having just so much trouble playing it and just being terrible at it and unable to survive in the harsh world. Like, I was really so terrible. I had maybe like 3 hours on it. I could not get past a certain stage in the very first scenario that you get. But I saw some ads for Frostpunk 2 maybe about, I don't know, about a month ago now, and I decided to re-download it because I was just kind of like, fuck it, I'll try it again. I already have it on my computer. And I found what I consider to be one of the best city builder games I've ever played. I mean, I think the difficulty is really just a part of the game. I love how the weather, especially in the first scenario, the weather only gets colder. It really just adds like a sense of urgency where you just can't afford to dilly-dally. Like, you always have a goal to build towards. You always have to research more tech. You always have to get more resources. I just love everything about how the weather gets colder. I think the world is also very interesting. Especially if you play through some of the other scenarios. So it takes place in like the 1870s in an alternate timeline Earth, where the first computer, I have to look this stuff up. The first computer was invented in 1822, and steam cores, which are in the game, are drivers of progress, not oil. Crop failures start in 1886 with strange weather patterns and weather dropping all over the planet. I think the world's just really unique and cool. I mean, I don't know, I guess a bit of an allegory to like global cooling. I'm not really sure if it's that deep, but I do sort of love like the whole Steam Frostpunk game mixed with like the wintry world. I think it's a very unique scenario and a very unique world. And that's why I think a sequel is going to be super good. Because the sequel is going to take place 30 years after the first game. And instead of building a small city, you're in charge of a whole society. At the end of the first game, you'll usually have cities about, 5 to 800 people in size. Maybe cap out around like 1,000. You're really not going to play much past that. But in the sequel, you're going to start with a 2,000 plus people city. So it's definitely focused more on a macro scale, which is what the developers have been saying anyways. Like, instead of individually building houses or hunter huts to get food, you're going to be building entire districts dedicating to housing or technology or food gathering, whatever it is. I think the grand scale is a great way to build on this game. Like, I think Frostpunk 1 has enough scenarios that I've played through enough that I think the grand scale will be welcome. I understand maybe not everybody's going to like this change, but I think it's for the best. It's going to be a good evolution of the world and gameplay. They also said that the time, it's now going to go through a week system instead of like each thing happening during one day. Now it's a week system. So instead of your game taking 45 days, it's going to take 45 weeks, probably longer. I imagine that they plan on the game's first scenarios being longer and more in depth, just based off what I've seen in the ads and stuff like that, especially with this new faction system they've been showing off. In the first game, you had somewhat self-imposed factions. You could either choose to rule as a dictator and have order be your motto, or you could be more of a theocratic city-state where faith ruled and you were seen as God's mouthpiece on Earth. But in this new game, there have been 4 factions announced, and they are the Engineers, Icebloods, Foragers, and Technocrats. I think these factions are going to add a lot more to political management of the game. We don't know exactly what each faction stands for, but there has been some good guesses from the community that I've seen based off of screenshots and what some early players have said. I think the Ice Bloods are going to be more like traditionalist and a continuation of the order path from the first game. I imagine the technocrats will push for more automation and the educated ruling the city. The forgers and engineers, I'm not sure what they're going to push for, especially the forgers. That sounds like a very open-ended name. Like, do they represent the common man? I don't know. But I'm excited to find out. Along with the factions, now when you sign and make laws, they have to be voted on in a Congress, or I guess they're British people, a parliament type system, which I think will add a lot more to the management aspect of the game. I'm expecting there to be a lot more moral and hard choices to make, having to balance between all the factions' demands and wants. I think that, based off what the trailer shows, that political turmoil and uprisings can happen in this game, and that politics will have a much bigger role in this game than Frostpunk 1. Because in Frostpunk 1, to get rid of discontent, all you really had to do was like max out one of the law trees in order and faith, and that was basically that. You were immune to people's discontent and the loss of hope. But I think this game wants to make it a much bigger part of the whole ecosystem. I have a lot of faith in the developers. 11-Bit Studios have made the first Frostpunk. They made This War of Mine, both great games. I think both games are really great and have a bunch of love and effort put into them. And I think the studio is going to deliver on the new Frostpunk. Of course, the sequel will also boast better graphics. Which, I mean, I think the game looks better in the trailers, but I also found Frostpunk 1 to be very beautiful. So, I mean, getting better graphics is never bad. I just have a lot of hope in this game. I've fallen in love with the Frostpunk these past few weeks, and I'm super excited for the sequel. I've some pretty high hopes, I would say. Even if it's just on par with the first game, I'll be very happy. I think the community is excited and very hyped for this game, just based off of what I've seen in the subreddit. I don't know. I really just don't see this game coming out in a bad state. I think they've put a lot of money into it. I think they're probably pretty ready for release. I just hope the studio doesn't lose sight of what made the first game so great. Because I think Frostpunk 2 isn't just a sequel. I hope that it'll be an evolution of an already incredible game series and premise. Like, it seems to promise to expand the world that we've already come to love, more storytelling, more complex societal dynamics, and a broader scale of management that shifts from individual survival to societal advancement. I think the introduction of new factions, the week-based time system, and the shift to a grander scale of city management are just a few aspects of this game that really make it stand out and make me so excited. And I think with 11-Bit Studios at the helm, I have every confidence that Frostpunk 2 will not only meet but exceed our expectations. I'm excited to play a much more political version of the world that they've created. I always enjoy that. So I just think that we should all keep our eye peeled on this new Frostpunk 2. I'm very hyped. I'm very excited about it. I think that it'll be good. That's all I have. I really just wanted to gush about the Frostpunk universe and talk about why I'm excited for the sequel. Like, subscribe, and remember Jesus loves you.